A little over 24 hours ago, we got our very first major deep dive into Bethesda's newest game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And even though it was actually very short, and to be honest, I wouldn't really consider it a deep dive, it was just sort of a pre-recorded long trailer. We did actually learn a lot of new and exciting things, but there was also some things that worried me. We now know that we'll be earning adventure points, which basically looks like it will be the XP and leveling and skill system. But with these points, we can upgrade Indy's abilities, making him stronger in combat, for example. And there's likely things such as faster sprinting and all of the usual stuff that you would expect in a story-focused game. Just very quickly before we keep getting into it, I want to go over one of the things that kind of concerned me, or at least one of the things that I didn't like, just so then we can hurry up and get to the good stuff. I've got to say, some of the animations here look very weird and very dated and just sort of outright finicky. Like here you can see when Indy slides, it's just the same animation over and over. And later on there's another scene and it's again the exact same animation in a completely different style of fall. I don't know how else to really describe it. Again, it just doesn't really look like his body is very natural, if that makes sense. Also, some of the faces during cutscenes look a little off, but it's weird because other times they look fantastic. I don't know, I'm not trying to hate, I'm just being kind of nitpicky. The animations just feel very off to me. But anyway, going back to the good stuff. Each map/environment is handcrafted, which is what of course we all assumed, but it's great to actually get a proper confirmation on that. They've even confirmed that the game will have some open world areas, which is really exciting to me. In these open world areas, we can explore freely to discover new secrets, items, upgrades, and even entire new secret quests, which is great. This really isn't something that I personally expected. I honestly was going into this assuming, okay, so it's like a, 18 to 25 hour or so linear story, but knowing that we have open world sections is very exciting, especially since they aren't pointless like unfortunately a lot of games nowadays, where you'll go and explore for 20 minutes and you'll be rewarded with a new armor that you're never going to wear, or a new weapon that you're never going to use, or something like that. But here we will actually be finding things, and on top of that, finding new quests that we can do, which is just great and gets me really excited. And as you can see in the footage, there seem to be a ton of really interactive items. Like you can just see Indy pick up a shovel to use in combat, and even things like a rolling pin or a candlestick. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I know that what I say next will be a hot take. They spoke about puzzles a lot, and personally, that does worry me. I'm not somebody that enjoys puzzles in games for the most part, because I usually just find them irritating, slow. I feel like they take me out of the game. However, I will say that the puzzles here do look really fun, and they don't seem to be too repetitive. Like all of the puzzles that they've shown have all been different. So I just hope that we're not doing the same style of puzzle, every 20 minutes in the game. Hopefully they'll be enjoyable, but this is one of my biggest worries going into the games right now, is that I'm just not going to like the puzzles, because I usually don't like puzzles in video games. And before you all rush to the comments, yes, I know I should expect puzzles in an Indiana Jones game. Trust me, I'm fully aware of that, and I'm glad that they look good, but I'm still just worried that I'm not going to like them. That's all I'm saying. Now, I do think that the stealth looked amazingly fun, especially with this disguise system that they showed off. They did also mention that quite often we will get an option to either go head first into combat or to kind of stealth our way around. And honestly, I think that the stealth looked better than the normal combat in this quote-unquote deep dive. So if I get an option, I'm probably always going to pick stealth, because I genuinely think it looked really fun. And again, especially with that disguise system they showed off, this is something that I wish a lot of games did, and it seems like it's kind of rare to find a game that does that nowadays. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But anyway, I really couldn't be more excited for stealth. I think it looked really good. I will say that I do think that the overall combat looked very slow, which is fine. Not every game needs to be extremely fast-paced. I definitely enjoy the slower paced story and exploration focused games sometimes, so I think it's great that they're doing it here, and it definitely makes more sense for Indiana Jones. I also liked how, I don't know how to really describe it, like how weighted Indiana Jones looked, if that makes sense. Like when he jumps over something, it's slow and there's a lot of weight to his character. He isn't just jumping impossible sized gaps or, you know, zip lining from the fucking Eiffel Tower or some shit. It seemed kind of realistic, and I thought that that was really cool, and again, very fitting for Indiana Jones. Now, at one point, it did look like we could buy items from stores or vendors, but it did actually go into like a cutscene. So I'm not sure if this was actually us as Indy buying something, or if it was us just sort of visiting a store during a mission. Like, there wasn't much indication here that we'll be finding money to spend at vendor stores or anything like that. So I'm not sure. They might have even confirmed this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But I guess we'll just have to wait to find out. Now, especially with how much they spoke about Indy's tools, it would make sense for us to sort of go to stores and be able to buy upgrades and stuff. Like, we have a lot at our disposal here, whether it's the whip, the revolver, the camera, or something else. There was a lot of quote-unquote tools that they showed off that we're going to be using. Again, one thing that I just loved was how interactive everything looked. Like, if you're stuck in a room, you can possibly break down a wall. If you're struggling in combat, you can pick up items around you and throw them at your enemies, or, you know, even just hit them with it. Or picking up glass bottles to throw them to help you in stealth sections. It just looks like a really interactive, fun time. Like I mentioned, my only concerns right now are the puzzles and that the animations could look better. And look, don't get me wrong, they don't look outright awful, they just look off in some places. Besides that, I'm really on board. This still remains my second most anticipated game of this year, just very slightly behind Stalker 2, and I couldn't be more excited to play it. Honestly, I wouldn't really call this a deep dive though. This was more like a 14-minute promotional trailer. While we did learn, you know, new and exciting stuff, I would have liked to hear from some of the devs behind the game, maybe see some behind the scenes stuff, etc. But anyway, that is going to do it for me. Let me know what you thought of this deep dive in the comments below. Are you excited, or has this kind of turned you off? Please do leave the video with a like if you would be so kind, and of course consider subscribing. And as always, a huge, massive thank you to all of our channel members for their continued support. It really means the world, guys. But with all of that said and done, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope to see you next time. Peace.